AITA for telling my sister that her constant need for validation is exhausting and damaging to her relationships. My sister and I have always been close, but lately, her behavior has been wearing me down. She is constantly seeking validation from everyone around her, especially online. She posts multiple selfies daily, fishing for compliments, and she gets visibly upset if she doesn't receive the attention she expects. I think this behavior stems from insecurity. She was always worried about what people thought of her, even when we were kids. I remember her spending hours trying to pick the perfect outfit for school. She would try on multiple outfits and ask me which one made her look the prettiest. I always told her she looked fine, but it never seemed to be good enough. She needed to hear it from other people too, not just me. Now, it feels like it is amplified. Social media has made it so much worse. She gets caught up in comparing herself to other people. I try to tell her that social media is not real life. People only post the best versions of themselves, but she does not seem to listen. She sees the likes and comments that other people get and feels like she needs that too. It is not just online. She needs reassurance about everything. She asks if her outfit looks good multiple times before leaving the house. She calls after every date to dissect every single detail, needing me to tell her that the person likes her. She even asks for validation on things she is objectively good at, like her job. I understand needing reassurance sometimes. We all do. But with her, it is constant. It feels like I am her emotional support animal, and I am starting to feel depleted. I have my own life, my own problems, and I cannot always be there to tell her she is pretty, smart, and worthy. I have tried to talk to her about it. I explained that I need some space and that her constant need for validation is draining me. I suggested she might benefit from talking to a therapist about her insecurities. I tried to be gentle, but honest. I did not want to hurt her feelings, but I also could not continue to be her sole source of emotional support. She seemed to understand, at least in the moment. She told me she would try to do better, to rely on me less. However, I have not really seen much change. It feels like she only heard what she wanted to hear. The next day, the cycle continued. More texts, more questions, more seeking approval. I find myself pulling away, responding less frequently, and feeling guilty about it. I hate that I am starting to resent her, but I do. I do not know how to fix this. I value our friendship, but I also value my own well-being. Recently, we went out for dinner. She spent the entire evening taking pictures of her food and herself, constantly checking her phone for likes and comments. It was distracting and made it hard to have a conversation. I felt like I was dining with her phone, not her. When we got home, she started complaining that one of her pictures did not get as many likes as she expected. She went on a rant about how she felt ugly and that people must not like her anymore. I had had enough. I told her, gently but firmly, that her constant need for validation was exhausting. I explained that it was not healthy for her to base her self-worth on external approval and that it was impacting her relationships, including ours. She did not take it well. She accused me of being insensitive and uncaring. She said I was attacking her and that I did not understand what it was like to be her. I tried to remain calm and explain that my intention was not to hurt her, but to help her see a pattern of behavior that was causing her unhappiness. I said I worried about her and the pressure she put on herself. I suggested we try to talk about it more later, when we were both calmer. I went to the other room because I needed a break from the argument. I felt drained and frustrated. I did not want to invalidate her feelings, but I also felt like my own needs were being ignored. I thought about what I could do to improve the situation. I decided that I needed to set boundaries for myself. I wanted to support her, but I could not let her negativity consume me. I told her that I loved her, but I could not always be her cheerleader. I encouraged her to seek therapy to address her insecurities and learn to validate herself from within. I suggested she take a break from social media, or at least limit her time on it. She did not take it well. She accused me of being jealous of her and said I was trying to tear her down. She said I was not being a supportive sister and that I should be there for her no matter what. She stormed off, and we have not spoken since. I did not want to argue. I tried to explain that I was worried about her choices. I told her I thought she was rushing into things. I pointed out that she had only known him for a short time. I reminded her that she had been hurt before. She refused to listen to anything I said. She said I was just being negative and that I did not want her to be happy. She told me that I always tried to control her life. I felt frustrated and misunderstood. I replayed the conversation in my head. I wondered if there was a better way I could have approached it. I considered reaching out to apologize, but I was not sure what I would say. I thought about sending her a text, but I did not know if she would even respond. I am unsure if I should just give her space and hope she comes around. I do not want to lose my sister, but I am also not willing to watch her make choices that will hurt her. I feel guilty. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I should have been more patient and understanding, but I also feel like I needed to say something. Her behavior was affecting my mental health, and I could not continue to enable it. I spoke to our mom about it, and she said I should apologize to my sister. She said my sister is just insecure and needs my support, not criticism. My dad, on the other hand, said I was right to be honest with her. He said sometimes, tough love is what people need to wake up. I thought about what each of them said. I understand my mom's point about insecurity. My sister has always struggled with comparing herself to others, especially me. It is true that I could be more supportive. I do tend to focus on the negative when she asks for my opinion. I also see where my dad is coming from. Sometimes I feel like my sister lives in a fantasy world. It is like she avoids any kind of responsibility or hard work. Maybe a dose of reality would help her. I still do not know the right answer. Apologizing feels dishonest, like I am taking back my true feelings. Standing my ground feels mean, especially if she is already feeling bad about herself. I considered talking to a friend about it. I decided against that idea because they do not know my sister well. They would not understand the dynamic between us. I think I need to find a middle ground. I need to be supportive, but also honest, somehow. Now I am torn. I do not want to hurt my sister, but I also do not want to enable her unhealthy behavior. I do not know if I should apologize or stand my ground. I worry about our relationship. A few weeks have passed. I still have not spoken to my sister. The silence is deafening. I miss her, but I also feel a sense of relief. I am not constantly bombarded with her need for validation. I have more time and energy to focus on myself. I realize it is probably not healthy to cut someone out of my life completely. I do think some distance is necessary for both of us right now. I needed to break the pattern of immediately dropping everything to cater to her needs. It felt like I was living my life for her instead of myself. I realize that sounds selfish, but I felt I was drowning. I told my therapist that I was exhausted from being her emotional support system. I need her to seek help from professionals or other friends. I cannot be the only person she relies on. I thought about calling her several times. I even started typing out a text message, but I deleted it. I know she is probably hurting. I hope she is using this time to reflect on her behavior. I cannot force her to change. I can only control my own actions. I just hope that someday we can have a healthy relationship. Until then, I will continue to focus on my own well-being. It feels strange prioritizing myself, but I think it is the right thing to do. I decided to take my dad's advice and give her some space. I hoped she would eventually come around and see that I was coming from a place of love. I spent the time working on myself. I started exercising regularly, eating healthier, and engaging in hobbies I had neglected. I also started therapy to address my own issues with codependency. One evening, I received a text message from my sister. It was a simple message. "Can we talk?" My heart skipped a beat. I was nervous but also hopeful. I replied, "Yes, of course." I wondered what she wanted to discuss. We had not spoken properly in months. I considered all the possible reasons for her message. Was it about our parents? Perhaps it concerned her job. Maybe it was about her relationship. I replayed recent interactions in my head. I tried to identify any specific event that might have prompted this. I could not pinpoint anything obvious. I prepared myself for a difficult conversation. I decided to be as open and honest as possible. I hoped we could resolve whatever issue existed between us. I wanted to rebuild our connection. I suggested we meet in person. Texting would not be sufficient for a serious conversation. I proposed a time and location. She agreed to my suggestion quickly. I chose a neutral public place. It felt safer than meeting at either of our homes. I drove to the coffee shop early. I wanted to secure a quiet table. I sat and waited, watching people pass by. I felt a growing sense of unease. I hoped this conversation would lead to a positive outcome. I needed to fix the situation with my sister. We met at a coffee shop near our childhood home. The atmosphere was tense at first. We both ordered our drinks in silence. Finally, she spoke. She said she had been doing some thinking about what I had said. She admitted that she had been overly focused on seeking validation from others and that it was not healthy. She said she had realized that my comments, while painful, came from a place of genuine concern. I was surprised to hear her say all of that. I had expected her to double down or get angry again. I told her that I appreciated her honesty and that I was glad she was taking my words to heart. I also let her know that I was not trying to hurt her feelings, but I was worried about the path she was on. I explained that I was not perfect either, and I have made mistakes in the past. I told her I understood how difficult it can be to change your mindset. I mentioned that it takes time and effort to break bad habits. I offered my support in any way that I could, but I emphasized that the work had to come from her. I said I was happy to see her taking steps to improve herself, and that I believed in her. She seemed relieved to hear that I wasn't holding a grudge. She apologized for accusing me of being jealous and for storming off. She said she had been defensive because she knew, deep down, that I was right. She has started to see a therapist and she is taking a break from social media. She apologized for accusing me of being jealous and for storming off. She said she had been defensive because she knew, deep down, that I was right. She has started to see a therapist and she is taking a break from social media. I was relieved and happy to hear this. I told her I was sorry if I had hurt her feelings, but I felt I needed to be honest with her. I told her I loved her and wanted her to be happy and healthy. I needed her to understand where I was coming from. I explained my own insecurities and past experiences that made me act the way I did. I wanted her to know that my concerns were not about controlling her, but about protecting our relationship and her well-being. I told her I was willing to work on my own issues if she was willing to work on hers. I suggested we consider couples counseling to help us navigate these challenges together. I did not want to lose her, but I knew things had to change for us to have a lasting future. I admitted I had been wrong to approach the situation in a way that felt accusatory. I should have been more understanding and listened more carefully to her point of view. I told her I would try to be better at communicating my feelings without making her feel attacked. I asked her to also be patient with me as I worked on improving my communication skills. I explained that I valued her opinion and wanted to create a space where we could both express ourselves openly and honestly. We talked for hours that evening. We shared our feelings, our fears, and our hopes for the future. It was the most honest and vulnerable conversation we had ever had. I felt like we were finally connecting on a deeper level. Since then, our relationship has improved. She is still working on her insecurities, but she is making progress. She no longer constantly seeks validation from me or others. She is learning to validate herself and to find her worth from within. I am proud of her for taking responsibility for her actions and for seeking help. I am also grateful for her willingness to listen to me and to work on our relationship. It was a difficult conversation, but it was necessary. It forced us both to grow and to become better versions of ourselves. The experience taught me the importance of honesty and boundaries in relationships. It also taught me that sometimes, tough love is the best kind of love. It is not always easy, but it can lead to growth and healing. I learned that it is possible to be supportive without enabling unhealthy behavior. I also learned that it is important to take care of myself and to prioritize my own mental health. I cannot pour from an empty cup. I need to make sure I am taking care of my own needs before I can effectively support others. I am now in a much better place, both individually and in my relationship with my sister. We are closer than ever, and we are both committed to supporting each other's growth and well-being. I am grateful for the challenges we have faced, as they have made us stronger and more resilient. The journey of self-discovery and personal growth is not always easy. It can be painful and uncomfortable, but it is also incredibly rewarding. It is worth the effort to become the best version of yourself and to build healthy, fulfilling relationships with the people you love. I still feel a pang of guilt sometimes when I think about how harsh I was with my sister, but I know, in my heart, that I did the right thing. I am proud of both of us for facing our challenges head-on and for coming out stronger on the other side. The experience has also made me more aware of my own need for validation. I realized that I, too, sometimes seek external approval to feel good about myself. I am now working on addressing my own insecurities and learning to validate myself from within. It is a process, and I know I will not always get it right, but I am committed to continuing to grow and to learn. I am grateful for the lessons I have learned from this experience, and I am excited to see what the future holds. I also learned that healing can be a beautiful and life-changing experience.